Hi everybody and welcome back to Borderlines today. So, thought we'd do this video today because we haven't done one for a few days, mainly due to the Easter holidays and I've had all the kids at home and everything. So I thought I'd respond to an important comment somebody put in regards to our video I did about homelessness. Because this particular person said that house prices in the major cities in the UK are absolutely through the roof. Okay. But they basically feel for the young because a lot of the homeless are young. Now the thing is, and this is my view, it depends where you're looking for whether the house prices are through the roof. So what I thought I'd do today is basically take a look at the 10 biggest cities in the UK, excluding London. Okay, so I've excluded London from this because you can't really compare London to other cities around the UK because of the size of it. It's the biggest city by a long way. So I've excluded London from it. Okay, plus the house prices. There's no comparison really. So what we've gone and done is looked at rent and we've looked at house prices to see as a comparison. Now, we were going to do 10. We've done 11 because I've added one extra by mistake. Okay, so we've got Birmingham, Glasgow, and I'm going to do this in order of biggest to smallest. Glasgow, Liverpool, Bristol, Manchester, Sheffield, Leeds, Edinburgh, Leicester, Coventry, and Bradford. Now, before I really say much about the house prices, so we've gone for the average rent in the city, so it's going to take all of the rents, okay, whether it's a flat, a 3-bed, a 4-bed, a semi, a terraced, a detached house. It's going to take them all and give us the average over the last 12 months. And then we've taken a look at the average house prices. Now, one of the things is, in a way, this isn't being really fair because we've got Bristol in there. And the problem with Bristol is it's relatively south, not very far from London, and it's on the main road to Cardiff and Newport as well as to London, whether that's by train, okay, because the train from Bristol will go straight through to Cardiff, okay, and you've got the train from Bristol but goes straight through to Paddington, and if you wanted to go to London Waterloo is the other option, or you want to go to Victoria, just change at Paddington and it'll take you there. And if you're going by car, M4 straight through to Newport and Cardiff, and if you're going east to London, go straight into London, the M4. Okay, so from that point of view, it's not really being fair because house prices are going to be directly more expensive. Okay, so the average house price in Bristol is near on, not quite, but near on 100 grand more than anywhere else on that list. Okay, and the rent is about £400 a month more expensive than anywhere else on that list. Okay, so in a way, it's not really fair for me to actually have them on there because they are on the direct route. And if you take a look at the south of England as a classic example, all the places that are on direct routes to London end up being more expensive. Places like Winchester, which is sky high, Southampton, Portsmouth, Brighton, Bournemouth's on the direct route up to there. Those types of places tend to be more expensive because they're on direct routes straight up to London, and it has a massive effect. There's lots of other places I could name, but I'm not going to do it all day. So the reality is, and this is when it comes to rent. Okay, so the cheapest place out of them 11 places, and I'm going to give you the lowest first, is Bradford at £876 a month. Okay, and then we've got places like Coventry at £994, Leicester £1,100, Leeds at just over 1100, Sheffield at 877. Edinburgh actually comes out as the most expensive at 1,424. And I was actually quite surprised that it was the most expensive. So the reality is, if you actually look at the rents, now the national average in the UK, as things stands at the moment, full rent, you're looking at paying about £1,092. If you take these 11 cities, and even you can include Bristol in this, okay, the average rent is £1,142. So there's not, yes, it's slightly more, but there's not a lot in it. Now, when it comes to social housing, so that could be housing association or with your local borough council or city council, whatever it may be, okay, for social housing, you're only looking at 545 quid on average, because they're going to be having a lot of flats. And that's the reason it's going to be suppressed. Okay, it's the amount of flats that especially the local councils are going to have compared to houses. It's going to suppress the price. If you take, for instance, where I live in housing association, and our rent on this is a 4-bedroom semi-detached house, and we pay just under £1,200 a month. You know, which is categorically way less than it would be if it was a private rent. We're probably going to be looking up around £1,800 to £2,000 easily for where I live. So it's still a lot less than, you know, when you say social housing at 545, and the average is that's the average, and we're paying about 1,100. So we're paying way more than the national average. Now, the irony is when you look at house prices, and this is the irony. Now, the cheapest and most expensive doesn't change here. One. So when you do look at the average house prices, now the one thing you've got to take into account, across the UK, the average house price at the moment is £268,000. Okay, Bradford's at 177, Edinburgh's at 294. Now, when you take away Bradford and you take away Bristol, all the rest, there's not really a lot in it. When you got Glasgow at the lowest, next at 213,000. Okay, so there's only about 80 grand in it, which is next to nothing really, okay, on the actual house prices. You know, especially a lot of them, you're looking around about 257 to 290. So in that, from that 250 mark, you know, you got the likes of, you got Sheffield, you got Manchester up there, you got Birmingham, you got Leeds, Leicester, and you got Coventry. They're all within a quite close amount of money. Now, obviously, if you come back to the comment that was actually said about, feel sorry for the young nowadays and the reason why a lot of people are becoming homeless, the problem that we've got in this country, we've got house prices which are going up by about 2, 3, 4% every single year, and they're just going up and up and up and up. So the reality is, if you want to buy a house, okay, because a lot of this, you're looking at around about 3-bedroom houses, you're reliant on either your parents dying and leave, and hoping you've stayed on good terms with them and getting some money as an inheritance, or grandparents or something like that. You're reliant on being in somebody's will. And if it's not a case of that, you need to get a damn good job. Because the problem is at the moment, now, I remember back in the day, back in the 90s and the early part of the 2000s, you could get 100% mortgages. Now, you can't get 100% mortgages at the moment. So most people were getting 90% mortgage. And if you don't know what a 90% mortgage is, you put 10% deposit down and the bank could give you the other 90%. And you'd be looking somewhere around about, I think it's around about 4.5%. I did a video on it the other day, I can't remember. I did look at a load of banks and building societies to look at it. Now, there has been reports, and it is factually based, that a lot of banks and building societies are giving 95% mortgages out, which is true, and it's fundamentally true. But the problem with that is you're going to be hitting interest. So you're going to be paying so much more money out for your new house because they're going to whack the interest rate up. And I looked at it, and it is factually correct. No matter what bank you look at or what building society, all of them are the same. They put it up by something like about 0.5%, if not more, by you taking an extra 5%. Now, it doesn't affect really it doesn't look like it a great deal by the amount of money you're actually paying a month. Doesn't look like that much. But when you go and put that over, whether it's a 20-year period or a 24, 25-year period, it then amounts to a lot of money. And that's the thing you got to take into account. But the fundamental problem is most people can't go and buy because they can't save up the deposits. Because the reality is, if you want somewhere which is reasonable, if you take a look at Manchester, okay, 10% deposit, you're looking at £26,000. Most people aren't going to be able to save up 26 grand unless they stay at home for a long time. And if you're looking at a 95% deposit, you're still looking at £13,000. So unless you get a really good job, so say for instance you become like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, where you're going to be earning a decent crust, you can't afford it. But still, the argument is, if you go and take one of those jobs, you're going to be paying your student loan off, because if you're trained to be a doctor, that's what, about 7 years at university? You're stuck in a cycle at the end of the day. So is there an answer? Well, there are answers. One answer would be government getting off our asses and actually building more houses and open up planning rules. But the developers aren't going to want to build, because they're going to want to sell them at the highest possible prices that they can, because all they're going to think about is their bank accounts at the end of the day. So that's one answer. The other answer, which is not going to be a very popular one, is to do what they did like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, build like big tower blocks, and that suppress, or it should suppress, house prices at the end of the day. Is there any easy answer to help the youth of today be able to afford these prices? No, not really. I would never rely on the government to be able to sort it out. They've been saying it for years. Are they about to? I very much doubt it, even though they've got their pledge. What was it? I can't remember the figure of how many houses they say that they're going to build over this parliament. I very much doubt that they're actually going to hit them targets. But time will tell. Hopefully that they do, and it will resolve a big problem for the youth of today. So, for now, thanks for watching. We will speak to you again a bit later. If you are new to the channel, if you could please subscribe, I would appreciate it. But for now, thanks for watching. And like I said, I'll speak to you all again a bit later on today.